I'm Ethan Harper, 32 years old, living in Ashwood, a small town about 45 minutes drive from Seattle. Every morning, I brew a cup of black coffee, listen to the weather forecast on the radio, then walk to my office, just a block from home. I'm the co-founder of Nova Bio, a biotech company in the medical field, a job that's not easy to explain, especially to people who think office work is just typing on a computer all day. My family never understood what I do. Or maybe they just don't care. To them, I'm forever the weird little brother, the guy who dresses casually, talks little, and is always glued to his laptop or busy with meetings. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. My apartment is small, on the third floor of an old building in downtown Ashwood. From the window, I see the cobblestone street glistening under the light drizzle, the persistent northwest rain I've grown used to. I like sitting at the kitchen table, sipping hot coffee, listening to the radio talk about another cloudy day. Then I grab my backpack, pass the bakery on the corner, and head to Nova Bio's office. Our office isn't big, but it's modern, with large screens full of data and the faint smell of coffee. I built this company from scratch with two friends, Sam and Lila, through sleepless nights and near bankruptcies. But my family? They only see me as a dull guy, nothing worth bragging about. In my parents' eyes, Richard and Elaine Harper, I'm always the overshadowed second child. The one they're proud of is Mason, my older brother, 3 years my senior. Mason is the kind of guy who walks into a room and draws every eye, handsome, charismatic, with a warm voice. At family gatherings in Cedar Grove, the suburb where my parents live, Mason is the center of every story. Mason, you look so sharp. Or your new girlfriend's a CFO, so impressive. The praise flows endlessly. Me? If I'm lucky enough to be mentioned, it's usually Ethan. He does something with biotech. Like I'm just a tiny faded footnote at the bottom of the Harper family page. I still remember a Christmas party in Cedar Grove. I tried telling Dad about a big Nova Bio project, a $2 million contract I sweated blood to secure. But he cut me off. Mason, tell everyone about your new car. The room burst into laughter. I sat there, my wine glass growing cold in my hand, feeling invisible. Mom was busy pouring water for Mason, not even glancing at me. In those moments, I told myself that if I just worked harder, quietly contributed, one day my parents would see me, be proud of me like they are of Mason. But the more I tried, the more I realized, all the light in this family belongs to him. I'm just the faint shadow behind, unnoticed. I don't resent Mason, at least not entirely. He doesn't try to hurt me. But the way our family treats us is so different, like I was born to be his backdrop. Every time I visit Cedar Grove, I feel like a guest. The family photos on the living room wall always have Mason in the center, smiling brightly, while I, if I'm even in them, stand in the corner, head down. Once an aunt asked, "Ethan, why aren't you more like your brother? Be a bit more fun." I gave a weak smile, but inside, something shattered. My apartment in Ashwood is where I find some peace. I keep an old family photo on my desk, taken when I was a kid, all of us standing under Seattle rain. I don't know why I still keep it. Maybe because a part of me still hopes one day my parents will see me as more than the weird little brother. I grew up in Mason's shadow, my older brother, as if the world had decided he's the light and I'm just a dark corner. No one notices. In Cedar Grove, the suburb where my family lives, Mason was always the focal point. He's handsome, great at basketball, sharp-tongued, always making everyone laugh. I was the opposite, a bookish kid who liked sitting in his room reading science books or tinkering with computers. At family gatherings, from Christmas parties to Grandpa's birthdays, all eyes were on Mason. "Mason, you look so sharp," or "Heard your new girlfriend's a CFO, so impressive." The praise never stopped. Me? If someone bothered to mention me, it was usually Ethan. He does something with biotech. Like I was a faint line of text, not worth reading closely. I remember one Christmas party at my parents' house. I tried telling everyone about a science award I won in high school. I'd practiced for a week to present my project, hoping my parents would look at me with pride. But as I started, Dad interrupted. "Mason, tell everyone about last week's basketball game." The room erupted, and I sat there, clutching my note card, feeling invisible. Mom was busy pouring water for Mason, not glancing at me. After that, I told myself that if I tried harder, did better, one day my parents would see me, be proud of me like they are of Mason. But the older I got, the more I realized that hope was like trying to catch Seattle rain. It just slipped through my hands. My family never asked how I felt working past midnight to save Nova Bio from a financial crisis. They don't know I built this company with Sam and Lila from a vague college idea. From days in the dorm with old laptops and cold coffee, to signing million-dollar deals with Seattle investors. The times I sat alone in the office, screen light on my face, checking every number to keep the company afloat. All that, my family never knew. They only see me as the weird little brother, dull, unapproachable, nothing worth boasting about. I've quietly supported my family for years. Since I started earning, I paid for electricity, water, internet, at the Cedar Grove house, plus car repairs for Dad or a new fridge, when Mom complained the old one broke. In total, I spent nearly $18,000 in 2 years, not counting small sums when Mom texted, "Mason's struggling, can you help?" I always helped, silently, like it was an unspoken duty I had to bear. But not once did they ask if I had enough money, if I was tired. They just said, "Thanks, Ethan," via text, brief as a curt nod. Once I sent money to fix the roof after a storm, and Mom texted back, "Mason just got a new suit, looks great." I sat in my Ashwood apartment, staring at the message, feeling hollow. Whenever someone asks about my family, I give an awkward smile and say, "We don't talk much. It's not that I'm hiding anything. There's just nothing left to share." Calls dwindled. Texts became mere task requests. I used to think family was where I could always return, no matter what. But the older I got, the more I felt like an outsider in the home I grew up in. The family photos on the walls in Cedar Grove always have Mason in the center, smiling brightly, while I, if I'm in the frame, stand quietly in the corner, head down, like I don't really belong. I don't blame Mason, at least not entirely. He didn't do anything wrong, and truthfully, he never meant to hurt me. But the way my parents and relatives treated us, always giving Mason all the attention, made me feel like I was just an appendage to him, a faint shadow in my own home. Mom's birthday was always special to me, not because of lavish parties or gifts, but because it was the one time I felt I still had a place in the family. Every year I'd go to Cedar Grove, where my parents live, to help prepare for the party, order the cake, clean the house, or just stand in the back washing dishes so everyone could enjoy. This year, after closing a major funding round for Nova Bio with a big contract from Seattle investors that Sam, Lila, and I worked months for, I decided to take 3 days off, fly early to help Mom with her birthday. Nothing fancy, just wanting to do the familiar things I always did, contribute a small part to make her smile. I called Dad, Richard, from my Ashwood apartment, sitting at the kitchen table with a steaming coffee mug. Rain drizzled outside the window, as usual in the Northwest. "Dad, I'm planning to come early," I said, voice soft. "Let me know if I need to buy or prep anything." I waited, expecting him to say something like, "Great, Mom will be thrilled," or "Bring some cookies she likes." But no, there was a short pause, then Dad cleared his throat, his voice not angry, but oddly measured, like he was choosing each word. "Ethan, this year if possible, don't come." I thought I misheard, and my hand froze, the coffee mug tilting slightly, a few drops spilling on the table. "What, Dad?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've arranged work already. I want to be there." Dad cleared his throat again, this time his voice firmer, clearer. "Mason's bringing his new girlfriend, Sophie Bennett. She's a CFO, very accomplished, speaks well. Your job? Well, it's hard to explain. You showing up will just make things awkward. Best you stay in Ashwood." My chest tightened, like someone had squeezed my heart. The rain outside suddenly grew heavier, its patter drowning my breath. "What do you mean?" I asked, voice trembling despite my effort to hold it. "Are you saying I embarrassed the family? You don't want me there because I'm an embarrassment?" I waited for him to deny it, to say I misunderstood. But no, he continued, voice cold as stone. "If you insist on coming, don't call me Dad anymore." Then he hung up. No hesitation, not a second's pause. My apartment fell silent. The coffee on the table had gone cold, its steam gone. I sat there, staring into space, like the world had cracked with one sentence. I didn't cry, I just sat, hands gripping the phone, a chill spreading from my fingers down my spine. For the first time in my life, I realized I was no longer part of the family I'd tried to hold on to. All the times I paid for electricity, water, internet, car repairs for Dad, a new fridge for Mom, nearly $18,000 in 2 years. It all meant nothing. They never asked if I was tired, if I had enough money. They only saw Mason, their shining light, while I was the faint shadow no one needed. I stood up, walked to my desk, where the old family photo still sat. I looked at it, at Mom's smile, Dad's stern eyes, and Mason in the center, radiant as always. My fingers trembled, not from anger, but from something deeper, a breaking point. I'd thought, even if I wasn't loved like Mason, I was still their son. Turns out, I wasn't. I opened my laptop, logged into my banking app. In 2 years, I'd paid for electricity, water, internet, car repairs, and household items. A total of $18,000, not counting small sums when Mom texted. "Mason's struggling. Can you help?" I quietly helped, like it was an unspoken contract I had to sign since I started earning. I opened the transaction history, each line clear: $192 for electricity, $136 for water, $248 for internet and cable. Month after month, like I was the one behind these numbers. But no one noticed. No one thanked me. Like an invisible accountant, I did it all, but no one saw those contributions. I clicked, canceling automatic payments for each one. A notification popped up. Cancellation successful. No chime, no alert, just silence. Like how I'd always existed in the family. Quiet, invisible, unacknowledged. With each canceled payment, I moved to the next, until they were all stopped. Closing the laptop, I leaned back in the armchair by the window. Outside, rain still fell, faint streetlight filtering through the curtains, creating a somber but peaceful scene. Dad's words echoed in my mind, clear and sharp. "Don't call me Dad anymore." That sentence lingered in my thoughts, like a cut that wouldn't heal. Mom Elaine's birthday approached, but I didn't call, didn't send a card, didn't post anything online. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I couldn't pretend anymore. After the call with Dad Richard, when he said, "If you insist on coming, don't call me Dad anymore," I decided to cut everything off. I canceled all payments for the family. Electricity, water, internet, $18,000, over 2 years. Sitting in my Ashwood apartment, I looked out the window, watching raindrops fall quietly. A strange emptiness spread through me. Not anger or pain, but the stillness of someone who'd just severed the last thread tying them to the past. On Mom's birthday, I stayed in Ashwood, didn't go to Cedar Grove. I brewed a cup of mint tea, sat on my small balcony, watching raindrops roll down the railing. My phone started buzzing. First Mom. I looked at the screen lighting up. Mom clear on it, but I let it go silent. A text came right after. "Ethan, why's the power out? Can you check for me?" I set the tea down, didn't reply. Then Dad texted, "No water, no internet. Call the utility company now. Your mom's freaking out." I looked at the text, eyes on the trees lining the street, feeling an odd calm. They didn't ask, "Are you okay?" Not a word about the call before. They just wanted me to do what I always did, fix things. A text from Mason, my brother, came next. "Seriously, Ethan, it's a special day. No internet. Guests are coming. Mom's nearly crying. What's going on?" I held the phone, fingers hovering over the screen, but typed nothing. I thought of Dad's worry. "Your job's hard to explain. You showing up just makes things awkward." I set the phone down, took a sip of tea, the cool mint sliding down my throat. I wasn't angry, wasn't sad, just felt a strange stillness, like I was watching my family from afar, as an outsider. As dusk fell, while I sat on the balcony, my phone buzzed again. This time, a video call from Aunt Joyce, the only family member who still sent me birthday texts, though I rarely replied. I hesitated, then hit accept. Her face appeared, the kitchen at my parents' Cedar Grove house, dim under phone flashlight glow. She looked tired, eyes slightly red. "Ethan," she said, voice soft. "Your mom's panicking. The house is dark, everyone's running around. No one knows what to do." I said nothing, just looked at her through the screen. She paused, then asked, not accusing, not defending, "What happened? You've never missed Mom's birthday." I took a deep breath, kept my voice even. "Dad said I embarrassed the family. If I insisted on coming, don't call him Dad anymore. What do you think I should do after that?" Joyce froze, her face changing instantly. In the background, I heard Mom's loud voice. "He's probably just sulking. No one's cruel enough to do this." Then a sharper voice. "Mason's, Sophie's coming soon. Someone's called the power company. Can't believe he's doing this today." I gave a faint smile, no joy in it. Joyce heard it all but said nothing, just looked at me with an unreadable expression. Suddenly, the screen shifted, a new face appearing. Sophie Bennett, Mason's new girlfriend, in a neat business dress. She looked at me through the screen, eyes wide, then blurted out, almost instinctively, "Ethan." The kitchen went silent. "Hey boss," she said, voice surprised. I smiled faintly, calm as if nothing happened. "Hey Sophie, welcome to Nova Bio." She stammered, You're Ethan Harper, co-founder of Nova Bio, the one who approved my transfer from Portland to Seattle." Silence. I saw Mom cover her mouth, Dad clench his fists, Mason flush red, eyes on the floor. Guests shifted awkwardly, some coughing. I remembered meeting Sophie at a Portland conference months ago. She shook my hand, called me Mr. Harper, politely, praised Nova Bio's vision. Back then, I didn't know she was Mason's girlfriend, and she didn't know I was his brother. Now, in the dark Cedar Grove kitchen, she unwittingly exposed a truth no one in the house cared about. I wasn't just the weird little brother. I was behind $1 million company, deciding her career. I looked at the screen, voice steady. Have a great party. Then I ended the call. My small Ashwood apartment fell silent, only the sound of rain tapping the window. No triumph, no joy, just an odd stillness, like a curtain had been lifted, revealing a truth I'd always avoided. My family, who saw me as an embarrassment, now faced reality. No power, no water, no internet. And the truth about me, finally exposed, not by me, but by the very people they tried to impress. After ending the video call with Aunt Joyce, my apartment sank back into silence, just the rain falling outside. The moment Sophie Bennett, Mason's girlfriend, called me boss, in front of the family lingered in my mind. I felt no glee or satisfaction. The only feeling was a strange void, like the truth being exposed wasn't to fix things, but to confirm my family never truly saw me. Sitting in the armchair, the mint tea now cold beside me, I looked out, streetlight filtering through the curtains, casting faint glows on the floor, like a reflection of me in a fleeting moment. My phone started buzzing nonstop. First, a long angry text from Mason. Ethan, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You know how important today was. Mom cried all night, because the birthday was ruined. How selfish can you be? I read it, fingers sliding over the screen, but typed nothing. I thought of Dad's words before. You showing up just makes things awkward. I thought of the money I paid for the family. $18,000 in 2 years, without a single thank you. I set the phone down, didn't reply. Then Mom texted, Ethan, I didn't expect you to choose this way to get back at the family. You know how much I looked forward to my birthday. I looked at the text, a lump in my throat, not from sadness, but from emptiness. Get back. I just followed Dad's orders, didn't come to the party, stopped paying the bills. If the truth about me, that I'm Nova Bio's co-founder, the one who approved Sophie's transfer, upset them, that's not my fault. I typed a short reply. I just followed Dad's words. If the truth upsets everyone, that's not my fault. I hit send, then placed the phone face down on the table. That night, I got an email from Sophie. I opened my laptop, the screen's light hitting my face, in the dark apartment. She wrote, Ethan, I'm sorry for unintentionally causing trouble today. I didn't know you were Mason's brother. I truly respect you, not just as my boss, but for how you work at Nova Bio. After the party, I talked to Mason, and I realized he doesn't respect you. I broke up with him. Thank you for staying silent today. Sophie. I read the email twice, mixed feelings swirling. I wasn't happy Mason got dumped, but I wasn't sad either. Part of me felt relieved, like someone finally saw what I'd lived with for years. My family's hypocrisy. I replied briefly. Sophie, no need to apologize. People are responsible for how they see others. I look forward to working with you at Nova Bio. I hit send, closed the laptop, and sat in the dark. Rain still fell outside, its steady patter like a rhythm. I didn't feel victorious, just clearer. My family never saw me, and maybe they never will. The next day, I met Sam, my best friend and Nova Bio colleague, at a small coffee shop in downtown Ashwood. The place was warm, the smell of roasted coffee, mixing with the rain's dampness from outside. I told Sam about Mom's birthday. Dad's words, the moment Sophie called me boss. Sam listened, sipped his latte, then said, Ethan, I cut contact with my dad once. It hurts, but sometimes, you gotta let go to live for yourself. Your family doesn't see you, not because you're not good enough, but because they choose not to. I nodded, watching the drizzle through the glass. Sam's words were like a small spark, cutting through the fog in my heart. I returned to my apartment, sat on the balcony, watching Ashwood's streets blur under the rain. My phone stayed silent, no texts from my parents. Mason didn't text again, probably dealing with his breakup with Sophie. In that quiet space, I thought about the years gone by, the nights I stayed up working at Nova Bio, the money I sent to Cedar Grove, $18,000 in 2 years, never getting a thank you. I'd hoped that if I tried hard enough, quietly carried everything, my parents would notice, be proud of me, like they were of Mason. But now I understood. that recognition would never come, because it's not what they wanted for me. Stepping inside, my eyes landed on the family photo on my desk. I didn't take it down, but I didn't look at it either. Rain still fell outside, streetlight filtering through the curtains, casting faint glows on the floor, and in that moment, I felt a new stillness. Not emptiness, but a beginning. I no longer needed my family to validate me. I just needed to live true to myself. A week after Mom Elaine's birthday, when the moment Sophie Bennett called me boss still flickered in my mind like a faint spark, I heard the doorbell. At first, I didn't think anyone would come, but a strange hunch made me check the peephole. Dad, Richard, and Mom stood outside, Mom clutching a small bag, Dad with arms crossed, eyes stern. I stood still for a moment, letting my mind process what was happening. Then I opened the door, said nothing, just stepped back to let them in. My apartment was bathed in the dim glow of streetlight through the curtains, rain drizzling outside as always in the northwest. I poured 2 glasses of water, set them on the living room table, and sat across from my parents. No hugs, no greetings, just a heavy silence stretching from the hallway inside. Mom spoke first, voice hoarse, like she'd traveled a long way. "Hi, Ethan," she said, eyes scanning the apartment. Simple, tidy, no trace of family gifts. "Can we talk for a bit?" Dad cleared his throat, getting straight to it. "About your mom's birthday," he said, voice slow. "I said some things I shouldn't have." I looked at him, didn't respond, waiting to see where he was going. He continued, voice lower. "Maybe we were a bit harsh on you. Mason's a mess after his breakup. Your mom's been sad for days. So we want to sit down, talk as a family." I nodded slightly, still silent. I was used to this kind of opener, a half-hearted apology, then the real ask. "Sure enough," Mom followed, voice hesitant. "We've thought it through," she said, placing the bag on the table and pulling out a printed sheet. "You're stable now, good job. If possible, we'd like you to help with about $2,000 a month, just enough for expenses, insurance, and retirement savings." Dad jumped in, like he feared I'd misunderstand. "It's not much, with your position. We're family, Ethan." I looked at the paper on the table, then at Mom, a chill spreading from my fingers to my chest. "What about Mason?" I asked. Voice even. Mom hesitated, eyes down. "He's not doing great after the breakup. His job's struggling too. We don't want to pressure him." I let out a soft laugh, not from anger, but because it was all so familiar. Mason was always the one who couldn't be pressured, while I was the one who could carry the load. I sat up straight, looked directly at my parents. "If I help," I said, "Mason has to contribute $1,000, and you need to sign a contract, stating that when you pass, all assets, including the Cedar Grove house, go to me." Silence enveloped the room. Dad's brow furrowed, face reddening. "Are you serious?" he growled, voice echoing in the small apartment. "You're putting conditions on your own parents." I didn't blink, kept my voice calm. "Not conditions, principles. I've spent nearly $18,000 on the family in 2 years, not one thank you. If you want me to continue, things need to be clear." Mom looked at Dad, voice trembling. "Maybe we should discuss this again." But Dad stood, slamming the table, making the water glasses shake. "We raised you for over 20 years, and now you demand a contract. Unbelievable." I sat still, eyes fixed on Dad. "Dad," I said, voice calm, "I don't owe anyone. If you see raising me as an investment to be repaid, we can tally every cent, but I won't pay with silence anymore." Dad opened his mouth, like he wanted to say something, but his lips just pressed tight, eyes glaring. Mom stood, gently pulling Dad's arm. "Let's go," she whispered. I stood, said nothing more, and walked them to the door. No hugs, no goodbyes. When the door closed, only the sound of rain tapping, and the cool breeze from the balcony remained, bringing stillness. After they left, no texts or calls came from my parents. My apartment sank back into quiet, just the steady rain and streetlight filtering through the curtains, casting faint glows on the floor. I felt no anger, no sadness. Just a strange relief, like I'd set down an invisible burden I'd carried too long. Dad's words, "We raised you for over 20 years, and now you demand a contract," echoed in my head, but this time they didn't hurt. I'd said what needed saying, drawn my boundaries, and for the first time I felt no guilt about it. I returned to work at Nova Bio, where busy days kept me focused. The small office in downtown Ashwood was the same screens full of data, the hum of the coffee machine, Sam and Lila debating a new project. I met Sophie Bennett in a meeting, now officially the Seattle branch's CFO. She shook my hand, smiled politely, and we talked business. No mention of Mason or Mom's birthday. I liked how she kept things professional, like she understood some things are best left behind. I nodded, thanked her, and returned to my laptop screen, feeling calm. Aunt Joyce, the only family member who ever cared about me, texted a few days later. "Ethan," she wrote. "I cut contact with my dad once because he never saw me. It hurts, but you'll feel lighter. Live for yourself. You deserve it." I read the text, sitting in the armchair by the window, watching the drizzle outside. Her words were like a small spark, reminding me I wasn't alone. I texted back, "Thanks, Aunt Joyce. I'm learning to do that." Then I set the phone down, feeling a rare warmth. I started changing, not big things, but small steps. I took the family photo off my desk, not out of anger, but because I didn't want to see it anymore. I put it in a drawer, with the Cedar Grove memories I'd tried to hold on to. I didn't remember Mason's birthday, didn't send Christmas gifts, didn't check if my parents texted. I signed up for a yoga class in downtown Ashwood, where I met Tara, a new friend. She smiled brightly, encouraging me. "Ethan, living for yourself isn't selfish, it's how you find yourself again." I nodded, feeling the yoga sessions helped me breathe easier, like I was learning to let go. One afternoon, I stopped by my favorite coffee shop in Ashwood, with big glass windows facing the rainy street. I sat by the window, sipped a hot latte, and saw a wooden sign on the wall. "Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a choice." That hit me. I thought about my family, the $18,000 I spent on bills, car repairs, a new fridge, only to get brief texts. "Thanks, Ethan." I thought about the nights working till dawn at Nova Bio, the times I hoped my parents would see me, be proud like they were of Mason. But now I understood. Family love can't be measured in money, can't be forced by duty. If love only exists when I pay bills, that's not family, that's a transaction. I started journaling, a new habit. Every night, I sat at my desk, writing my thoughts. I don't need their validation anymore. I wrote one night, the desk lamp glowing on the page, "I just need to be myself." Those simple, powerful words helped me see the path ahead clearer. I no longer felt guilty saying no to my parents, refusing to be the family's fixer. I stopped waiting for an apology or a hug from Dad. My apartment stayed quiet, but now, that quiet wasn't empty. It was my space, where I could breathe, think, live for myself. Rain still fell outside, street light filtering through the curtains, but I no longer looked out with a sense of loss. I looked at my laptop, opened work emails, and saw a report from Sophie on a new financial plan. I smiled, not from victory, but because I knew I was on the right path. My family didn't reach out anymore. No texts, no calls, no apologies or accusations. That silence didn't surprise me. I was used to this kind of quiet, not from shame or regret, but from people who don't know what to say when they lose control. I continued my life, back to Nova Bio with busy days, long meetings, and new contracts with Seattle investors. One morning I went to a conference center in Seattle, where Nova Bio held its annual event. The hall glowed with stage lights, rows of seats filled with partners, colleagues, investors. I stood on the podium, in a simple black suit, looking out at the audience. Sam and Lila, the friends who built the company with me, from days of old laptops and cold coffee, sat in the front row, clapping loudly. When the CEO called my name, presenting an award for my outstanding contributions to Nova Bio, the room stood. Applause roared, and for the first time, I felt the pride my family never gave me. I smiled, not for the award, but because I knew I'd chosen the right path. That night, back in my apartment, my phone lit up with a text from Mason. "Ethan, I want to talk. Call me back." I looked at the text, fingers hovering over the screen, but typed nothing. I thought about the years I tried to be seen, the $18,000 I sent to Cedar Grove, only getting curt nods. I thought of Dad's words, "If you insist on coming, don't call me Dad anymore." I set the phone down, didn't reply. I didn't hate Mason, but I no longer needed him, or anyone in the family, to feel whole. I sat at my desk, opened my journal, wrote a few lines. "I'm not getting revenge. I'm just living true to myself." And the truth spoke for itself. I thought about my journey, from a bookish kid in Cedar Grove, always compared to Mason, to the man behind Nova Bio, respected by colleagues and partners. I didn't need to shout to prove my worth. I just needed to be silent, let the truth reveal itself. Like when Sophie called me boss in front of the family, leaving my parents and Mason stunned. I didn't do anything but be myself, and that was enough to change everything. Rain still fell outside, streetlight filtering through the curtains, casting faint glows on the floor. I stood, stepped onto the balcony, feeling the cool breeze carrying the rain's mist. I thought about the coffee shop slogan in Ashwood. Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a choice. I'd chosen myself, not out of selfishness, but because I deserved respect, love, not as a bill fixer, but as a whole person. If you ask if I regret not helping my parents, not replying to Mason, I'd say I regret taking so long to realize I deserved more. Family is where you're seen, not where you sacrifice to be accepted. I know my story might be hard for some to accept. In society, rejecting family duties is often seen as ungrateful. But try standing in my shoes, banned from mom's birthday, because my job's hard to explain. Spending tens of thousands without hearing, "Are you okay?" I didn't choose family in the traditional sense. I chose myself. Do you think I'm too cold? Or did I learn to love myself, just in time? If you've ever felt lost in your family, trust me, you're not alone. Ethan Harper's story in this new script reflects a common issue in American society today. The pressure to maintain toxic family ties, and the journey to find self-worth in a culture that celebrates individual success, but often overlooks quiet sacrifices. Ethan, a co-founder of the biotech company Nova Bio in Ashwood, Washington, spent $18,000 supporting his family, from utility bills to car repairs, but received no recognition, even being banned by his dad from his mom's birthday, because his job was hard to explain compared to his brother Mason. The moment Sophie called Ethan boss in front of the family, revealing he's behind $1 million company, exposed their hypocrisy, reflecting a reality in America, where professional success is sometimes unvalued by family, if it's not outwardly flashy. Ethan's journey, from hurt setting boundaries by refusing his parents' $2,000 say month request, to self-love through yoga, journaling, and recognition, at a Seattle conference, symbolizes a modern American trend, where young people learn to prioritize mental health and self-assertion over family pressure. Takeaway: in American culture, where individualism encourages independence, but family still matters, Ethan's story teaches that setting boundaries isn't ungrateful, it's protecting your self-worth. Learn from Ethan, removing the family photo from his desk and not replying to Mason's text. You have the right to say no to relationships that see you as a fixer. As the Ashwood coffee shop slogan, Ethan read, says, "Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a choice. Choose relationships that respect you. And like Ethan, live true to yourself, even if it means facing criticism." Subscribe to the channel to follow deep stories like Ethan's journey, and thank you for joining us. See you in the next video, where we continue exploring lessons on self-worth and family boundaries.